Look up the laws, people.
Look up the laws for your state. And if you don't agree with them, then you should probably spend time writing prenup.
Hi, everyone. You're listening to The Modern Bay Woman. I'm Cathy.
And I'm Jackie. And this is the podcast where career-driven, wellness-minded Bay Area women come together to
share their thoughts and feelings,
laugh through dating stories,
and find community in this journey we call life.
Welcome to episode 8. In the previous episode, Cathy and I talked about breakups, healing, and lessons learned. So if you want to hear some breakup stories, head back to episode 7, Navigating a Breakup.
And in this episode, we're going to talk about what marriage is, what it means to be married today, and the decision to have or not have kids.
So this is a big question I've wrangled with a lot, I feel like, in my life, because I've had partners who want to get married, and I've always kind of felt like, could live or with it or without it. And so I have Googled a lot about what marriage is, literally, what is marriage? Why do people get married? And I know that sounds crazy because, all my friends want to get married or are married. But I thought I'd start with this question with you, Cathy, because marriage hasn't always been about love. So I'm curious for you, what does marriage mean? What is marriage in your mind?
Yeah, so to me, marriage is about demonstrating commitment to someone else. You're legally, you're financially, emotionally, physically attached to your partner, and you're really showing the world how much you love them, and you're willing to sign on the dotted line for them because it is a legally binding contract.
You're like, give me the commitment in law.
Yeah, I was like, don't just tell me, show me.
Yeah. And so that's how you want someone to show commitment to you, or why do you want to get married?
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's almost about having a sense of security in that sense, right? Because I'm really big on actions. People can say all the stuff that they want, right? And until you actually can show it, and this is, I think, a great way to show it, and it also will ensure you're protected in, some ways with that too, then I'm like, is it really love? And it probably kind of goes back to why do people get married? I think a part of it is well, if you do have kids, right, you want to make sure that legally this person is also responsible for taking care of this child or providing child support, right? And that they're not just gonna randomly walk away for whatever reason.
Yeah. And you mentioned at the end of the day, it is a legal contract. So let's touch on what marriage has been historically as well. There's been several types of marriage that are legally allowed in the United States. What we think of as marriage today is actually called serial monogamy. Do you know the difference between monogamy and serial monogamy?
Honestly, no.
Okay, so monogamy is you are engaged, married, and never leave that person for the rest of your life.
One dick for the rest of your life.
Yeah, from start to finish. But we're allowed to get divorced here in the United States.
Right.
So,
and actually, we have a super high divorce rate. It's 50%.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy.
And you can get married as many times as you want.
Yeah.
So that's serial monogamy. That's you can have one partner over and over and over again. But you can't be married to multiple people. You can't be married to one person and marry an additional person. You can't create group marriage.
Yeah.
Those things are not legally allowed.
But you can get divorced and remarried.
Correct.
Versus the other type is you can never get divorced.
You can never get divorced. There are definitely people who are still going through arranged marriages. They're not deciding to marry for love, but they're marrying for family reasons or for their families introducing them or for political reasons.
Yeah.
That are nothing to do with commitment to partnership. It's much more of a business contract. I know of friends from high school who come from India and they've been
Yes.
in arranged marriages.
Yeah, that kind of like reminds me of like if you ever watch on Netflix the Indian matchmaking where they ask, oh, is this marriage or is this like a love marriage where you like actually love each other versus
I haven't seen this show.
oh, okay. Yeah, but it's just like really interesting that there's kind of a difference between a love marriage versus like just a marriage, right?
How
Because
do they talk about it? Like, is it like they're in agreement that they're not getting married for love, or
you don't explicitly say that, but there's like a difference between, oh, I met you and I fell in love with you and that's why I want to marry you versus it's like, oh no, I like went ahead and made sure you checked all these boxes and then I'm gonna marry you and then we'll kind of like figure it out from there. It's almost like a matchmaking arranged marriage in a sense, right? Where there's like an actual person like going through all their different clients and trying to like put them together, right? It's like a hired service.
okay, so the TV show is like there's a matchmaker.
Yeah,
People are
and
meeting each other, and you can tell when people are like, "Oh, we're getting married for love." We already meet each other's checklist because the matchmaker made sure of it.
yeah, and they're just like, oh, your horoscope or whatever like aligns because you were born on this date and this time and blah blah blah.
But you can tell when people are like, they're not like in love, but they're like, well, this is, seems to be a match.
Yeah, and because the guarantee is just like, hey, go on a first date with them, see how it goes, and then you like maybe go on a second date. But if you're like, hey, I met them, and you're like, oh, the vibes are just like not it, then you like kind of go back to the drawing board and like kind of keep going to first dates. It's kind of like dating apps, right? Except you have like a real person doing the matching instead of like an algorithm.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I've watched Bridgerton, and so
Ooh, I love Bridgerton.
they like depict marriage as a business contract, like two families politically coming together to increase their assets.
Right,
And
exactly.
like combine land. But
And
then
like money.
And money, yeah, because it's like you're all part of the royal court.
There's so many shows on Netflix right now that is centered around love, right? There's like Love is Blind, which I believe you've watched before,
Yes,
right?
I've watched Love is Blind. I forget who got me into it, but I'm not a big reality TV show person, but I thought it was really interesting that like some of these people really never dated like talking about their values, like that they led by dating for looks first.
Right, exactly. Because they're like, oh, well, the physicality, like she's a hot blonde chick, so that's like my typical type. But now I'm going to go into the experiment and see if I can fall in love with someone based on an emotional connection. I'm never going to see what they look like. I don't know what ethnicity they are, if they're tall, fat, skinny, white, black, Asian, whatever. It's just me trying to get to know you. And people are like shocked that you like get married within a month. But I'm like, if you really think about it, like there's no cell phones. You just have a notebook. You really like think about how do I feel when I talk to this person? You write down your thoughts, right? And you're talking to these people for hours a day for like 2 weeks straight. So it's almost like you've been dating almost like a year if you really add up all the time that you're probably just like chatting. And everyone comes here supposedly serious for love, right? But I feel like as the episodes have gone on and as the season goes on, it's the men definitely get trashier and the women are still amazing. And
Yeah, I don't know. I also think that like the men can be trashier because it's like the women are our products, Like if we really look back historically, women were like traded. Like marriage was like,
they're like a property.
yeah, it's like a piece of property like that you're like giving away. So the women have to be shiny, beautiful objects, and the men can just be men.
Which is awful.
Yeah, and
So unfair.
there's like a double standard in like who brings value into a marriage, right?
Yeah.
Sorry to take it to a dark place.
Yeah,
but
it's also
I'm just
like
you saying that reminded me. I was like, well, it wasn't just combining assets. Like back in the day, it was
Yeah.
also like, okay, here's a girl and 10 cows. So there's always been like lots of different types of marriage historically, but I feel like marriage these days has really become like a business contract, but not so much so it was like, okay, you're trading a woman and like a dowry for a union of family names, but like not everyone I know comes at it with this approach, but it's like marriage is a business contract. It's a contract with your government, and there's certain things that are happening to make it more of a fair deal, which I think is really interesting. So I'm kind of like, I feel like I have friends who didn't really know that. They didn't really think about what happens if you get divorced or what having this signed contract actually means legally.
Yeah. Well, because
They
they're so in
saw the
love,
benefits.
right? They're like,
Yeah.
well, like, we would never get divorced. I'm like, no one goes into marriage thinking they're going to get
Not planning. Yeah,
divorced.
no one's
Yeah.
planning to do that. But, there's a 50% chance that it can happen. So,
Which is why everyone should get a prenup. And getting a prenup doesn't mean you're like planning for divorce. It's like getting car insurance. Do you get car insurance because you think you're going to get into an accident? Like, no, you do it in case the worst case scenario happens. You're protected and you're not like completely screwed.
well, and I think what
Right?
people don't realize is they think that a prenup is like, oh, to save my ass or to save my assets or to save me in the case of a divorce. And it's like, well, it's actually not that deep. It's just your marriage contract is based on the laws of your state. And if you get divorced, then the laws of that state apply. And a
Yeah.
prenup is setting up your own agreement. It's essentially being like, do you want to have a business contract that you downloaded from the internet, or are you going to customize that business
Yeah,
contract?
you got to make it your own that works the best for you.
Yeah.
Right? And if you never get divorced, then you never have to use it. It's great.
Yeah. And like, there's just like every state has different laws. And so I don't think people realize that where you get married actually matters as well. Like California is one of the states where once you're married, no matter who is bringing in income, all marital assets are like community goods, essentially.
So it's all split 50-50.
It's all split 50-50. Like if one of you doesn't work at all, one of you doesn't like contribute to
yeah.
any investment incomes and doesn't borrow money from family, doesn't pay any taxes, like it doesn't matter. You're legally one unit and it's like all together. So in the case of a divorce, that means all marital assets will be distributed equally.
Yeah. What about for like assets that come in before marriage?
I don't know. I think that there's a lot of assumptions people have around, oh, the assets that I bring in before the marriage, but I think it's different for every state also. And so, like,
Look up the laws, people.
look up the laws for your state. And if you don't agree with them, then you should probably spend time writing a prenup.
Yeah.
So, like, do you know anyone that's gotten divorced in California and, like, kind of been benefited or screwed from that kind of, like, general legal assumption?
I do have friends that have been divorced, and I don't think they had prenups, but I don't actually know the details of how everything kind of worked out.
So I had an aunt who was someone who was married for, let's just make it an even number. She's married for maybe 20 years and she didn't work for the first 10.
Yeah.
She worked for the second 10 and he was an entrepreneur and he didn't work the last 10 years of their marriage.
Yeah.
So at the end of their marriage, I don't know how the finances shook out, but you have to continue to support that spouse. So she had to pay alimony to her ex-husband for 10 years.
Ooh.
Following a
Yeah.
divorce.
Do you think, or I guess, what do you think would have changed if she had like a prenup in place?
So if you had a prenup, you could say something like what alimony someone would pay someone else given the amount of time that someone wasn't employed during the relationship. You could say like regardless of years, like being the home caregiver, like I'm only going to pay up to 3 years alimony or up to 5 years alimony or up to the amount of years in alimony where the kids were in middle school or high school or whatever. You could set some kind of like limitations around how long you support your spouse outside of there being like a legally binding relationship.
Yeah.
It could also be like limits on like the amount of financial support you would provide.
Yeah, so it's almost like forcing you to have like the hard conversations up front before you even get married, right? And you should already be having these conversations, but sometimes people are like, I didn't even know my husband had X amount of student loan debt. And you're like, seriously?
Yeah. And then, so like I know that people take out student loans before they get married a lot of times and their spouse will pay their student loans off.
Yeah.
You could say in a prenup that if I cover your student loans, and you don't pay any of it, I want that money back
Yeah, because
in a
it
prenup.
feels like that could be
Like
more
it was a
fair for
gift.
you. Yeah, in your
Yeah, like if
relationship.
you want it to be like set as I
Mm-hmm.
paid off your loan that you incurred before there was a business contract between us,
Yeah.
then I want to receive that financial gift back.
Yeah. And I know sometimes it's like, oh, it's not sexy, you know, like, oh, marriage is like all love. And I'm like, no, it's also a business contract. Like, it's like literally the most important decision you'll make in your life because it affects everything, right? Like your finances, your health and happiness and wellness, right? There's like so many things related to that because there's not a lot of things you can choose in your life, but you can definitely choose your partner.
Yeah, and you can choose where you get married. So the
Yeah.
other thing I want to say about California before we move on from this, the contract negotiation is in California, there's laws around the amount of time you're supposed to give a spouse to review a prenup. And if you're going to have a prenup written up, you have to each have lawyers because California is one of those states where it's like prenups aren't meant to screw someone over.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Yeah.
supposed to protect both of you.
Yeah. And so California has laws like, okay, you need at least 8 days before a prenup is signed because they don't want anyone to feel pressured financially or time wise or manipulated into signing a prenup. And then, even then, like if someone kind of signs a prenup that doesn't have any benefit to them, if you get divorced, California courts usually favor the lower income spouse. Like they
Yeah.
will be like, look, I get that you all signed a prenup, but this person is like financially ruined. This person's financially screwed, and I'm sorry, you need to pay them alimony.
Yeah.
Like a court will step in, and
Yeah.
if you
It has
have the right
to,
lawyers,
your
it'll
prenup
help.
should be fair.
Yeah, so California has a lot of laws around like equity, community property,
Yeah.
and so California's not a bad place to get married.
Yeah. If you want to be protected, even if you don't have a prenup, like their state laws around divorce are pretty fair.
Yeah, and I feel like the court system is also very lenient
Yeah.
towards a lower earning spouse than like a high earning spouse because California's an expensive place to live. Like, you know, you
Yeah, exactly.
can't get divorced and just like get screwed.
Yeah.
For any of those of you that are married and you're like, oh, I got married in a state where things aren't so fair, or I actually don't agree with California marriage laws, you can always sign up for a postnup, which is just a renewal of your contract and with different terms.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to go do that, but it's an option.
Yeah. I also know that postnups are probably a little bit harder to like navigate because you're like, well, we already got married. Like, why are we talking about postnups? Like, do you think we're gonna get divorced? Right? I can see like a spouse kind of spiraling a little bit.
Spiraling, yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you want to have like a trial marriage, huh?
Honestly, trial marriage is not a bad idea.
It used to be one in the back of the day.
Oh,
There used to be
really?
one back in the day. Yeah, there used to be like
It's like try before you buy.
try before you buy. Yeah, I read somewhere that it in Ireland or Scotland, they used to do these marriages where it was like a hand binding marriage, and it was just a ceremony that you did to be like we're entering into a like a spiritual union, and it wasn't a commitment for forever. It was just like
Wait, what?
it was like a we're moving in together and trying this out.
I feel like a lot of people nowadays move in with each other before they get married.
I feel like we do that now. We do like
It's a very, yeah, it's a very normal thing. Because like you said, like if you have the opportunity to try living with them to see what this would look like long term, it'll give you an opportunity to kind of work out the kinks. Or if you really can't, then it's
Walk
probably
away.
good. You're not like married, right? Breaking up is so much easier than going through divorce.
Yeah, definitely. So that brings us to, you mentioned having kids, having marriage and kids. I feel like they're very separate, but I think that if you do want kids, getting married is smart because of what you mentioned, which is
Yeah. The
it
protection
is a legal document saying children within this union are the responsibility of both parties.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like for me, I don't think at least not right now, would want to have kids if I wasn't married or like I didn't have a partner. Because I feel like it's a little bit too hard to do yourself. And I think before I was still a little bit on the fence. I'm like, do I want kids? Do I not? Right?
Before
Like,
what? What do you mean?
I think before, like, right now, because I did egg freezing last year, and to like egg freezing is a lot, and we could do a whole nother episode on that and my decision, how that went, etc. It's like an insurance policy, right? But like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing that because I'm probably leaning more towards yes to having kids.
Yeah.
And so
And
that's why,
you're doing it before even finding a partner and before
yeah.
even knowing if you're too old
Yeah,
or
like I don't even know if I'll
infertile
need
or
it, but
if
I,
need it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like I want the option, and I like think about it, and I probably want to have 2 kids if I were to have 2 kids, and sometime in the near future. And I still think, yeah, having kids is like, it's like a little mini me, right? A little mini me that I like create, and I get to shape and hopefully grow into an amazing person, right? And like kind of like guide and like mentor them. And I'm really close to my family, so I like love the concept of just, having my own family and being able to grow together and like learn from each other.
I love that. I feel like my family's close, but in a different way.
Yeah.
So I've never really like thought I wanted kids. I just was like, why perpetuate and continue the childhood I had? Like I was not having a good time in school. I had lots of up and downs with friends.
Yeah.
I struggled with my dyslexia, and I was like, I don't want anyone else to have to go through this. This sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I don't want kids. If I change my mind later, I'm down to adopt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I don't change my mind, then I'm happy being a amazing auntie.
Yes, exactly.
But you also touched on, someone who's like down to be a solo parent. Like they're like, I want to be a mom no matter what. What is that like?
Yeah, so my sister actually would get a sperm donor if she, doesn't find a partner in the next couple of years, because she knows for sure she wants to have kids, regardless of if she has a partner or not. It's just she's like drawn to it. She like knows she wants to be a mom. She knows she wants to have a child, and of course we all know it takes a village to raise a kid. But she has me, she has our parents, I think there's a couple of her friends, right, who potentially might have the same idea, right, where it's like, maybe we'll just get a sperm donor, we'll like live close to each other, and it's almost like communal living, communal like raising kids together type of thing, right, with like you and your best friends versus kind of having this separate nuclear family idea.
Yeah, I feel like I've been hearing a little bit about that becoming more common too. Just like people coming together and a couple people having kids and everyone agreeing like this is the village.
Yeah, we're gonna like, because I mean it happens even now, right? Like you'll like meet other parents, right, at like the parent teacher conference or like whatever back to school night type of thing.
That's like very different than being like, oh, we're raising children as a purposeful community though. Like I don't just take care of the kids because it's convenient because I also have kids. It's like, oh, we're gonna like decide we're the community. That to me is like very different than two separate families agreeing to, oh, can you watch the kids after school? Oh, can you pick up the kids? Oh, can we like have a carpooling schedule? I feel like that's very traditional.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I'm trying to say is I do agree it's different, but it's like the same concept of like it takes a village and you need multiple people to try and come help out, whether that's like people who live near you, it's family, or it's close friends. Like it's not, even though, oh, I might be getting a sperm donor and I want to have my kid myself, it's not, you're not like truly alone doing it, right? Even though you don't have like a quote unquote like typical partner, you are still raising this child in like a community setting.
Okay, that makes sense. So then I also feel like there's a lot of people who have kids just because like, quote, that's what you do. And to me, that's really sad. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've talked to adults who are like, oh yeah, my parents just had kids because that's what you're supposed to do. Or, oh, that generation had children because like that's what you're supposed to do. You don't hear those stories from people, I feel like, of our generation where they're like, yeah, I had kids because that's what you're supposed to do. Anyone my age that I know had kids young. It wasn't because like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. It's like, no, I got pregnant and I decided, now's the right time. It's okay. I'm going to go through with this, but I always wanted kids and was planning for it and things like that. The idea of like, you just have children because that's what you are supposed to do, I feel like has kind of phased out. But I don't know. Do you have friends that are like, oh, socially, society wise, you're supposed to do it?
I think back to my parents' generation of I just worked a job so I could put food on the table. There's not really like a concept of I love my job, so that's why I'm doing this job. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm working so I could put food on the table so I can raise my kids, right? Like they didn't have the luxury or the privilege of like thinking about these things, really contemplating like purpose, right? Because if you think about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's I need to make sure that I got the basics covered, right? I have like food, water, shelter, whatever first. And then it's like as you get to the top of the pyramid, it's like, okay, well like now that I can like pay my bills, I don't have to worry about keeping a roof over my head. Like all those things are stable in your life. Then you can think about, all right, what's my purpose in life? What do I want to spend my time doing?
Yeah. And I feel like having children nowadays too is like one of those nice things we can decide if we
Yeah,
want
because
to
they're
have or
so
not.
expensive, right? Like everything now costs so much more. It's just not fair.
I also read a headline, I haven't really done research on this, of someone arguing that having kids is no longer meeting a utility that we need. Before, oh, you just have kids because that's what you're supposed to do. Kids provided
Like an extra hand,
labor.
right?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
provided labor. Like they continued to support the family business as they got older. Older children took care of younger children. There was more of like a sense of community. So like having children contributed the community type of thing, I guess. I don't know. But this article was essentially saying children no longer provide a utility. Then the next generation came and said, oh, you just have kids because that's what you're supposed to do. And so now, because like you mentioned, kids are super expensive, even just supporting yourself is super expensive. Having children would be a like true financial burden. And having children not only doesn't give you like the economic support to be able to like, I don't know, perpetuate your business, support a farm, etc. The kind of like gist was people are only having children if they really want them because it supports the utility of happiness or the utility of like, I don't know, bringing joy into your life. And so people who like can see that that would not bring them joy or not support their happiness are choosing not to have children. I thought that was kind of like interesting and a new perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I agree with that. If you look at more of the developing countries all around the world, right? Like there's like declining birth rates and in more developed countries there's fewer children being born, right? And that's because you just realize how much more it takes to support a child nowadays, right? There's like all these extracurriculars that you need to do and potential private school or just like feeding them, putting clothes, right? Having like a nice home where you don't necessarily have to worry about money.
Yeah.
And it's also just harder to have kids too, right? Like here, I mean, I hear the, oh, you know, no teenage pregnancy. I'm like, okay, but if you like look at it, we definitely had like declining teenage pregnancy from like 2000 to like now.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is good, but I'm like, it's really not that easy to get pregnant, especially as you get older. You want to be financially stable. Then you start thinking about like kids in your 30s. And
More
I
and more
think,
women are having kids in their 40s too. Like,
yeah, and like people go through IVF or like, you know, 1 in 4 women get miscarriages, right? Like it's something very common, but people just like don't talk about.
yeah. So I think that the marriage versus having children, marriage and children are all like very different decisions. Like a lot of people get married and never have kids. A lot of people never get married. A lot of people have kids and don't get married. So like I know you see marriage and kids as like a together decision. But would you still want to get married if like you were not going to have kids?
Probably, because I think it still comes back to like the demonstrating commitment part
Yeah.
of it, right? And I know we didn't really get a touch on this at the beginning, but you mentioned you like don't want to get married, right? And I don't know if you shared with like our listeners as to like the reasons why.
Cause I'm scared. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, tell us more. Let's unpack that.
Okay. A lot of the historical reasons we mentioned are the reason why I don't want to get married. I don't want to contribute to a patriarchal ownership society. I think that even today when we say marriage is like a contract and partnership and like it's a business thing, the like social construct around it and like the social expectations around it to me are still very oppressive to women. And so I don't really want to participate in it. That's kind of one of the reasons. But deep down, I'm also like very scared that if I were to get married, I am not really strong enough as like a person to still be myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I would fall into the societal kind of like wife role.
Versus like if you didn't get married, you're like, well, now I like have to take care of myself and I know that I can.
Yeah, I have to take care of myself. I know that I can. If me and my partner break up, I know I can stand on my own 2 feet. And like, I want to set a level of like independence for myself and be able to support myself, maintain it, and do all that. Yeah. So I think there's like the like gross patriarchal, like it feels icky to me. And then there's also the scared, I am just a girl who grew up in a society
Yeah.
that is like told to get married and let a man take care of you. So if I do get married, like I feel like part of me might die into that a little bit and I might feel resentful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the hard part to say out loud.
Yeah. And I feel like at the end of the day, like everyone should just do what works best for them, right?
Yeah.
Like we just have to respect people's decisions, whether someone chooses to get married or not, or have kids or do not have kids. It's really up to them and what works best for them. And everyone has their reasons. So it'd be really interesting to kind of hear from our listeners, like, you know, what are your thoughts on marriage, right? And kids, and do you want to have both, have neither? What are your reasons why?
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode and we'd love to hear from you. You can find us on YouTube and Instagram as The Modern Bay Woman.
Follow us, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, send us an email or a voice memo. Give us all the real feels and thoughts you may have. Bye.